So let's review what you just saw me do in the spray booth. I went into the spray booth, I filtered my vinyl sealer into my spray gun. I then opened up the filter on the actual line coming into the spray booth to remove any impurities or water that might be in the line from the compressor into the booth. I then hooked the hose on. I had my inline filter as close to the gun as possible, and on the wall you saw me come in and adjust the gun. I was adjusting the fan width, how wide the diameter of the spray was. I was adjusting whether it was horizontal or vertical. I was also adjusting the amount of flow coming out of the gun. And I also adjusted the pressure of the gun. Max PSI on this gun is 30 PSI. You want enough air pressure in the gun that you have enough force to make that product come out of the gun atomized, hit the surface, and then flow back together. Now, as I begin spraying, you saw that I held the guitar in the left hand, started at the butt on the back side, and came going across the guitar like this, coming down towards the neck. You also saw that I overlapped my spray pattern by about 50%, and I got what I call wet on wet. I want wet on wet, but I want to get enough on there that the product will flow back together, but I don't want enough on there that it's going to run or drip. I then turned the guitar sideways, went around the sides, both sides, then the back. So before switching hands and spraying the neck, I like to spray the neck left-handed, I turned the guitar over. Enough of the solvent had flashed off that the product had fixed itself enough to the surface that I didn't have any danger of runs or drips anymore. So what I did is I came in and I did another coat, and sometimes I go across it. For example, the first one I did this way, and then I did this way to get a little better coverage. You don't necessarily have to do that. So basically I put down 2 coats in one spray booth setting. I like to think of it as just one coat. Each time I go to the spray booth, it's one coat. No matter how many times I spray it, I determine it's one coat. So then, after I had done the whole guitar again, I switched hands, grabbed inside the sound hole, and sprayed with the left hand. Now, the left hand, you have to be careful. The peg head gets a lot of spray. The heel block gets a lot of spray. So you want to be careful you don't get runs or drips in those areas. So lightly cover the neck. And then I took the guitar out of the booth and hung it up. I let it sit there for about 45 minutes to an hour. This product flashes off very quickly, and as soon as you can grab the guitar again, then you're able to spray again. So I gave it about 45 minutes to an hour. I went back into the booth, I did that sequence again. 2 coverings, I determined that 1 coat, but 2 coverings again. Hung the guitar up again for another 45 minutes to an hour. I then went back into the spray booth and did a 3rd spraying. So basically I have, let's call it 3 heavy coats or 6 light coats on my guitar, and this is the vinyl sealer. At this point, I need to level everything. So what I'm going to do now is come in and level the guitar. I'm going to use 220 grit. It's not how much product you put on. Some of you may be thinking, wow, he sprayed an awful lot of sealer on there. It's not how much you put on, it's how much you leave on. And what I'm going to do now is come in and mow that back. You can do it by hand, you can do it with a power sander. Be careful if you decide to use a power sander. Things happen very quickly. You can wind up going through it. You can get enough friction and heat on there that it will actually melt it. So be careful. My suggestion is, if you have no experience with this, do it by hand. What I want to see after I level this finish is I don't want to go through it. I want to leave a coat on the guitar, and I want to have all of the pores or anything that shrunk back, any imperfections, I want to see that all gone. Now, your surface prep is critical. We've already talked about that. If you have anything in there that needs to be fixed, then do it before you continue spraying. If you need to come in with some shellac and sawdust and fill any gaps and things that you missed in the pore filling process, you can still do that. Go ahead and do that now. This surface has to be completely level. It has to be flat. No imperfections, no gaps, no shoddy workmanship, no pores before you spray the lacquer. My usual spray sequence is what you just saw. I go into the booth, I spray 3 heavy coats, if you want to call it that, or 6 light coats, because I repeat. I come out of the spray booth, I do the sanding, which I'm going to do now. Then, usually I'm okay, depending on my surface prep. If after leveling the vinyl sealer, I see any imperfections, I've got to fix that now. If in doing that I go through the surface of the vinyl sealer and down to the surface of the wood, then I've got to spray some more vinyl sealer coats. Usually I'm okay though. I wind up leveling everything, it's all flat, I can go spray my lacquer coats. But if you have anything that you need to fix, spray some more vinyl sealer coats. Also, if you notice that you had any runs or drips when you were spraying your vinyl sealer, now's the time to get that out. You got to sand that out of there. If it's still a little rubbery, let it dry. Let it take as long as it takes to cure so that you can come in and sand it. Sometimes you can come in with a razor blade and use it like a scraper, and that helps. But if it's still kind of rubbery, it's just going to want to tear on you and tear all the way down to bare wood. So sand out any imperfections that you had or any problems you had with your spray technique. Usually a quart of the sealer and a quart of the lacquer is what you'll need to finish the guitar. Alright, so you saw me do it. Now you're going to see me do the leveling process. Then we'll go back into the spray booth and hopefully I'll be able to spray my lacquer coats. If not, I'll spray some more vinyl sealer coats.